So far each week in our Q2 Rewind segment, we've dug back into our archives to bring you stories of historical events, community growth, and progress across our region. Well, we recently came across a reel filled with service, commitment, danger, love, and loss. This week, February 14th, Valentine's Day, marks 29 years since the Billings Police Department lost one of its own in the line of duty.
The shooting is over, but the gunshots are still echoing through the Billings Police Department and the entire community.
Last night, just before 6, Billings police heard a radio call they hoped they'd never hear. Shots fired, officer down.
It's been almost 24 hours since Detective Alex Mavity was fatally wounded in a downtown alley, shot with his own service revolver.
When they got to the back of the station, Ducksworth took off running through the city parking lot, across the intersection at 2nd and 27th, to the alley behind Norwest Bank, where he tried to commandeer a car. That's where Mavity caught up to him. They struggled, and both men were shot with Mavity's service revolver. It was in this alley behind Norwest Bank that the chase ended.
And that's where and when fellow officers were forced to face their grief while trying to figure out what went wrong.
There isn't an officer out there that isn't hurting. You know, they will hurt, and only time is going to heal it.
Mavity's killer, Ronnie Ducksworth, a Rocky College football recruit who failed the school's proficiency test and never stepped on the field. The circumstances sent shock through the Billings community.
Today, the Magic City is dealing with a tragedy which, for most people in our community, only happens someplace else.
I think it changes people's perspective on what police do here in Billings. Obviously, the police have a much more at-risk job than people really think that they do.
The tragedy also brought out the man behind the uniform, a well-respected, hard-working 8-year officer. But Alex Mavity was also a son, a brother, a husband, and a father to a baby girl.
I mean, he was one of the best people that I've ever known. And I want her to know how much he loved her and how he wanted to share her life.
Family, friends, fellow officers, and law enforcement from across the state filled, actually overflowed, the Shrine Auditorium to say goodbye and thank you for your service.
A time for tears, a time for laughter, a time for mourning, a time for dancing.
Saw the grief, saw the impact.
Current Billings Police Chief Rich St. John was also a young officer at the time who had lost his colleague and close friend.
What it really did was talk about your mortality. You know what? Yeah, I'm 20-something years old, but I can get killed here.
A lesson felt on the force today. A loss Mavity's mother knew would impact an entire community.
We all know that this world has really lost something very special.
And the chief tells us not long after Detective Mavity was killed, the department switched over to semi-automatic handguns. And since St. John became chief, all patrol officers must now wear their bulletproof vests while on duty. Across the nation, 11 officers have been fatally shot in the last 6 weeks.